So, Sky has asked me to talk you through a 5-minute lesson plan with an emphasis on how we're using digital skills within our lessons. So, what I've got here for you is one of the first lessons that we did with our level 3 art and design students when they started with us in September. And I've included the bigger picture, which was a general introduction to the course and their new project, and then a little bit of artist research for their first bit of pass criteria, which I've included in this box here. Our objectives for the lesson were to get the students to access Google Classroom and put a post in Google Chat, which is something we use for all our students throughout the department, so we can get hold of them and send them messages easily. And I also wanted them to identify the characteristics and styles of Jim Dine's work and apply that to their own artwork. Key points that I wanted them to be able to do over anything else was how to log in and access their Google Chat and their Google Classroom from their phones or a laptop, and to be able to tell me what the characteristics of Jim Dine's work was. So if we then scroll down, you can see in terms of planned activities, we were going to introduce the course to the students, go through an overview of their project brief and their Google Classroom setup. Now, we did this verbally, but we also then showed the students some YouTube videos that I had created that were explaining those different things to them. We didn't play the whole video in the lesson because, especially the one for the project brief, the walkthrough is about 25 minutes long. But what we did do was show them where it was, gave them a kind of introduction to it so that they can then go back and watch it in their own time and pause it, rewind, listen to it, or whatever they so choose. So I've put a link in here so you can see. These are little video tutorials of me talking through their so you can see that's just there as a resource for them to constantly go back to and use as they so wish. I also get my students to comment underneath when they've watched it. I think this student got a little bit overly emotional, so that I know that they've engaged with it and they've seen it. So we introduced that as part of the lesson. We also set up their group Google Chats, got them all to log in, post a comment in, and then we started to look at the work of Jim Dine, had a discussion about what they'd done, and then did their own drawings. The last thing I got them to do was to photograph their work at the end of the lesson. My students produced digital sketchbooks alongside physical work, and the photography of their work is really important because it means that we've got a digital footprint and trace of everything that they do with us throughout the academic year, so they can't leave it on the bus or anything like that. This side of the lesson plan allows you to elaborate on that in a little bit more detail. So I've just picked out those key bits of digital skills that I've used. So the introduction of Google Classroom and Google Chat, the video tutorials, and the photography, and I've checked off the ones that I've done on the bottom here. The left-hand side that I haven't really talked about much yet is around differentiation, assessment, etc. So I put in the one-to-one support we have through our TLASs. I've referenced the fact that all my YouTube videos have subtitles, so students can read and listen to them, and that point that they can pause, re-listen, go through the videos at their own pace so that they can digest the information at the speed that they are comfortable. We were doing some formative assessment for their P1 criteria, a lot of observation and discussion in the lesson. It was their first lesson, so we weren't going kind of too hard in terms of assessment. I put in about developing their confidence with digital technology. We introduce it from like day one so that it just becomes a really natural part of what they do with us. English maths, developing their written communication and analysis, and the target was the completion of at least 2 drawings by him. So as a very brief overview, that's how our kind of 5-minute lesson plans work, with the emphasis on any digital tech that we're using.